Donc, continuons. Pour les, comme vous pouvez le voir à l'écran,
For the men, as you can see on the screen, we presented the key dates for the World Congress preparations at the last NPU Connect. But now, how can your cities actually prepare to participate in the World Congress? Well, there are several ways to go about it. So how do you prepare for the Congress? You'll have several options available to you. The cities, and we'll be finalizing them in the coming weeks, since, as you know, the preliminary program will be released on May 26th. But I can already point you in a few directions today. So first, the symposium will feature, among other things, sessions and workshops aimed at helping participants understand the new urban project and embrace its framework, which, I'd like to remind you, is based on livability as a response to the contemporary challenges facing our city's historic centers. The workshops will be based on case studies and discussions of the strengths and challenges of these case studies. So, for the discussions and for the workshops, we will be looking for case study cities to represent these use cases, which will serve as the introduction to each workshop. So as a third point, this remains to be confirmed. But it is likely that we will issue a call for contributions for the symposium, which will help us, first, to find the pilot cities. Those not selected as pilot cities may, for example, be invited to present their use cases in the form of posters. As you know, at every conference, we organize a poster exhibition. So the call for papers, I repeat, could be used for the pilot cities, in the case of workshops or the poster exhibition. So what we're going to try to do is make the most of each of the cases presented so that they can be used or presented in one way or another. At the World Congress, let's not forget that the symposium's theme is the OVP's new urban project for historic centers, focused on the livability of historic centers, and that the symposium will be structured around the General Assembly. The General Assembly, not only to get cities to join the new urban projects, but also to have them adopt a customized roadmap through the OVPM Action Plan, outlining the actions to be implemented in their cities to achieve the level of livability that each city desires. On the logistical side, now I can already tell you that one of the principles of the incentive program will take into account the composition of the delegations. So at the last World Congress in Cordoba, we limited each delegation to 4 people due to space constraints. But in Marrakesh, there will be no limit on the number of participants in the delegations. So that is something you can already take into account when putting together your delegations. And finally, I'd like to share some other ideas we've come up with to help your cities participate fully in the Congress. We also thought about offering the cities in the accelerator. I don't know if any are online today, but we thought about offering the cities in the accelerator the chance to create a poster to showcase their experience, just as we did in Cordoba. Also, for the cities that have created a collaborative network since Cordoba, we'd like to offer them the opportunity to create a poster about their collaborative network as well. As I just mentioned, we could continue to offer the poster exhibition with a theme focused on livability, of course. So there are plenty of ideas currently in the works. All of this, of course, will be confirmed in the coming weeks. And as I said, the preliminary program will be published on May 26th, so it's coming up very soon, in 2.5 weeks. And it will also give you a good idea of how to really get a head start on the conference, ahead
C'est clair? Parfait.
Is that clear? Perfect.
Switching to English for that one, because I just came back from the Visby workshop where we worked in English. So from 27 to 29 of April, the Regional Secretariat of Northwest Europe and North America, together with the General Secretariat, we held a 2 days workshop in the city of Visby on the island of Gotland. So we had delegates of many cities. So we had Augsburg, Bruges, Brussels, Dubrovnik, Gyeongju was also with us. I think that Kim is with us today. Kutnaora, Luxembourg, Neringa, Philadelphia, Regensburg, of course, Split, Vilnius, and of course, Visby, the whole city. We had many Swedish regional and national heritage representatives together with us. We shared ideas and experiences from across the network. So we had 2 different days. The first day, we had a workshop titled Heritage Futures, organized by Wolfgang Dersch, Matthias Ripp, and Monika Gottler, who is also with us. If you want, Monika, you can say a word after. Of course, with Louise of Manborgo, who was from the city of Visby. So the session was facilitated by Cornelius Altorf. He is the UNESCO chair at Linnaeus. I'm sorry, I'm pronouncing that very badly. Linnaeus University. The workshop explored futures thinking at UNESCO-aligned approaches to peace building a long-term heritage stewardship in historic cities. It was quite a mental exercise to make, but very useful in order to think about current action or policies for the future of heritage cities. The second day, there was a new urban process perception test facilitated by Michael and I. The goal was to test the NUP and its ability framework across the 4 operational principles, which are known as the conditions deemed essential for member cities to enhance habitability in their historic centers. We organized 4 workshops for each principle. Delegates shared concrete examples and practical lessons from their cities through the key themes explored since 2022, including ecological transition, regenerative economy, authenticity, and strengthening the financial and institutional capacity of historic centers. The discussion that followed each presentation of concrete examples gave us very good insight of the key points to reinforce and confirm the relevance, the general relevance of the NUP. It sparked also ideas on how to organize a symposium of Marrakesh and eventually how to strengthen the implementation of the NUP in our cities after the Congress. So it was 2 really insightful days actually that we had in Visby. Really appreciated actually the input of the cities. I don't know, Monika. Do I see you here? Do you want to say a couple of words about the workshop?
Yeah, of course. I hope you can hear me because I don't see the presentations, but I see your faces. So nice being here. I just also wanted to confirm that I think it was very valuable and highly appreciated again to just do that very personal and open-minded exchange amongst the cities. I think that was one chapter. Apart from the personal encounter, it's always beneficial to see that we all share the same challenges again, and that was really working on the ground and seeing the examples from the other cities was very good. And I think it was also a nice thing to have 2 different focus topics on the both days, but it all went together very well. So kind of it was opening the minds, and on the second day, then really going down on the ground in what we are doing right now. But with that perspective of what we were discussing the day before about a future thinking, I think that was very good. And I really also appreciated that we had so many different cities, which in the end all came to the conclusion that we are already doing quite a good job in our cities, because all the projects that were presented already focused on people. We all confirm people are the center of our work, and that's what habitability is all about. So yeah, that is my short conclusion about a very valuable 2 days. Yeah.
Yeah. People centered is the mindset that we have came to. Actually, we are already doing it, but we have included it in the the definition of the NUP. Anyways, thank you, Moni. So if you have any questions, please take the floor. Otherwise, I will pass the ball back to Adriana.
So, no questions at all. Great. So since last year, we started running a campaign to collect many initiatives as possible that show how cities of our network are working to improve habitability. The goal of this campaign was to build a strong database of good practices. So thank you so much for all the cities that had contributed to this initiative. So far, we've published about a dozen of good practices from different cities, and there's more good practices that will be added in the coming weeks. We are not defining how we will use these best practices for the Marrakesh Congress. The examples you share, they are already helping us a lot to see all the challenges that your cities are facing, of course, all the priorities that are guiding the local action, and the different ways that it's understood the habitability. There's many topics that have been collected through this activity. It's very diverse. There's a wide range of subjects. For example, we have heritage governance models such as La Habana with the Historian Office. We have also dialogue among stakeholders for heritage management as in Quebec City. We have community-led planning of public spaces in Luxembourg. We have short-term rental regulations in San Antonio, tourist management through different initiatives and actions in Bruges and Krakow. We have also bottom-up mobility planning in Regensburg, improvements to public spaces and safety in Puebla. We have dialogue on heritage transformation projects in Bordeaux, and the improvement of access to heritage to all citizens in Mexico City. There's more best practices, good practices coming regarding Brussels, Puebla, and many more. I will put in the chat the link to this to the site so you could check the best practices in our website. I will put it right away. And as I told you, please keep us giving more examples of your best practices. You could download in the website the summary sheets, and if you want to learn more, you could contact us or also contact the city that's featured that in the best practice. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to write us.
Might I add, Adriana, that this is the good practices are helping us also to feed what we are looking for the workshop in the symposium. So it's giving us a lot of ideas of who the witness cities could be. For the symposium and the workshop for the symposium. So the more we receive, the more it gives us input on how to divide and how to organize the symposium.
Maintenant, je vais changer au français parce que
And now, I'm going to switch to French, because we're going to get a feel for it. Today we'll be sharing the results of the 3 city labs we held last month. We've, as you know, already followed up on our news and our communication. We held the 3 city labs. Culture of Cooperation, coordinated by the city of Bordeaux. Tourism Management in the Historic Center, coordinated by Amsterdam, and Energy Efficiency and World Heritage, coordinated by Luxembourg. In total, we held 3 city labs that brought together more than 33 participants from 18 different cities, sharing experiences and challenges, as well as very concrete practices, and we have already published the reports that consolidate all the results. You will receive the reports and emails announcing today's publication later on. And that's it. The 3 city labs have allowed us to gather very valuable information and insights that are crucial for the work we're currently doing on new urban projects. Today, we welcome the coordinator of the City Lab Culture of Cooperation. She works for the City of Bordeaux to learn a little more about questions or ideas regarding the results, key points, and main takeaways from the discussions. Thank you very much for joining us today. Yes, I'll let you take it from here. Hello, everyone. Can you remind me how long I have to speak? Not very long. I think it has to be very, very brief. Yes, is that right? Yes, yes. So I'm going to remind you why we wanted to organize a city lab on the culture of cooperation. It's because the issue of heritage, in every era and in every place, its preservation, use, and promotion, is a subject of debate. In fact, it raises questions that can lead to conflicts of interest and differing visions. In fact, we ask ourselves, what should we preserve? How can we preserve without distorting? How can we adapt to better pass it on? And we realize that, from the perspective of those involved, the answers may differ. In fact, heritage experts have their own truth. Elected officials have different perspectives. Urban planners, developers, and residents do not approach the challenges of transformation and preservation with the same priorities or the same frames of reference. And so, the need for dialogue and constructive exchange of viewpoints is essential to create the structural projects that will ensure livability. So we took 2 cases from Bordeaux and invited architects and project leaders to share their thoughts to simulate these exchanges. We have. This led to discussions aimed at identifying the problems, the major problems. So, ultimately, these are also opportunities, meaning we need to bring together all the different perspectives and engage in broad consultation to identify where the conflicts of interest lie. And to engage in dialogue, for that, we also need spaces and opportunities for exchange. Common meeting points, in other words, that allow us to establish this dialogue. So what else did we say? Yes, that it was also important to clearly establish the projects to promote heritage in contemporary life. That is a factor in, how shall I put it, integrating heritage into a broader project, into a societal project. And these are keys to success, to understanding the challenges of conservation. Obviously, we must prioritize a pragmatic approach, flexible and adaptable, one that allows us to benefit from exchanges and discussions between perspectives that may initially differ, but can ultimately converge through a constructive approach. We have identified certain points of divergence or, how shall I put it, variations depending on the specific situations in different cities, which justify that this culture of cooperation ultimately, it takes shape in relation to situations that may differ. I So we believe it is important to recommend institutionalizing this cooperation by creating frameworks for cooperation that serve as guidelines for all those who may have contributed different perspectives, and that it is necessary to equip ourselves with tools to gather all of these perspectives. We also discuss the issue of financing arrangements. Some conflicts of interest may also relate to financial availability. To meet the expectations of the various stakeholders, we have also identified the need to diversify communication. This is partly to reach different types of audiences and different perspectives. The development of various educational tools, such as models, exhibitions, or site visits, facilitates understanding of the issues and allows for more interactive engagement. Finally, relying on concrete things, though they're remote, that act as intermediaries between people, well, all of that requires coordination. And it must be said that, sometimes, institutional fragmentation is a hindrance. So, we need to find a way to overcome it by clarifying roles and responsibilities and by taking the time to do so. To thoroughly analyze situations at the various levels. Finally, in conclusion, so I would like to emphasize and reiterate one more point. Recognizing differences should not be seen as obstacles, but rather as starting points. In fact, it's very important. If there are no differences, then presumably there must be. He lacks sincerity, or there aren't enough stakeholders at the table. Closed circles don't allow for the development of structural projects. Since dialogue is necessary to achieve a collective project, that is what I wanted to say for today. I can answer questions now or later if you'd like. Thank you. Thank you. PF? So that was really interesting, and City Lab's discussions definitely help keep the conversation going. As for how we can bring all the stakeholders together under the same framework, that was very interesting. And of course, the examples from Bordeaux that were presented enriched the discussions, and we hope to continue working on these topics in the coming stages of developing new urban projects. And, of course, Marrakesh as well. So I think that if anyone has a question or anything, don't hesitate to raise your hand. Otherwise, I'll hand it over to Adrian to continue with the schedule of activities. Perfect. Am I speaking French correctly? Yes, perfect. So it's pretty simple. We'll be closing applications for the Jean-Paul Lallier Award tomorrow. So we received a few nominations today. So it's starting to get really interesting. Of course, if any of your cities need a few more days to close the application period, please feel free to contact Berenice, who is in charge of this project. Otherwise, on June 15th and 16th,
Ça sera un test de perception, un peu comme nous l'avons fait à Visby, mais au niveau
Adriana, so it will be a perception test, a bit like what we did in Visby, but focused on African cities. So, a perception test for the new urban project. And finally, I didn't put it on the agenda, but as we were able to discuss in VISB with our colleagues from Asia Pacific at the Regional Secretariat, I didn't include it because we don't have the dates yet, but there will also be a perception test style workshop, which could take place in Asia, primarily for Korean cities, perhaps Asian ones. That remains to be confirmed. Probably in February, so the dates are still to be confirmed. It will also be a perception test, right before the conference. So there you have it. That's what we have planned for upcoming activities, but mainly the activities related to the new urban project are almost finished. There's not much left. The most important thing now is getting the cities ready for the Congress. That's really it. What are we focusing on? We're focusing on putting together the program, opening registration, and launching the rewards program. And really, we're launching everything we can so that your cities can fully participate in the symposium and fully get involved in the symposium, and to feel like they're an integral part of the symposium, but also of the General Assembly. So that's what we're going to be focusing on in the coming months, leading up to the Marrakesh conference at the end of October. That is really what we are focusing on. So there you have it. If you have any final questions, now is the time. Quay. Actually, if you have an initial question, because I don't think there have been any today.
So as Andran said, you have all our contacts, you have all our information, so please don't hesitate to reach out and tell us what you need. And I hope you had, like, sorry for the technical issues, but you will have this presentation and the video, the recording, in your mail in the upcoming weeks. So thank you so much for joining today, and have a nice day.